Welcome to Season 3 of the Builders Podcast. I'm Matt Levenhagen. Here we share the journeys, strategies, and lessons that help entrepreneurs build what's next. Builders helping builders. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Miguel Carranza.
That's
however
perfect.
You pronounce it.
That's perfect. You did it great, Matt. Thanks.
Thanks. Well, it's good to have you. Now, Miguel is the CTO and co-founder of RevenueCat.
That's correct.
If you want to just take like a minute or two, just tell us what you guys do over there, what RevenueCat is.
Yeah, we help app developers make more money. That's the mission of the company, which means that we provide all the tools that you need to start monetizing using subscriptions, which seem to be an easy thing, but it's not that easy. It's a little bit tricky. And then analyzing how your business is doing and a set of growth tools like experiments, paywalls, price testing, so that you can make the most money possible.
That's good. That's a good goal. It's a good goal to have. Make the most money possible.
Yeah.
Extracting as much as possible. Good. So what we like to do here on The Builders is we like to start with your story, your origin story, as far back or as little far back as you want to go.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of sets us up to inform us on why you're doing the things you're doing today and the amazing things you're doing in the world. So with that, I'm going to throw it to you if you want to talk a little bit to your story and let us know a little bit about yourself.
I mean, it can get as long or short as we want, but I'll try to find a middle ground. I'm originally from the south of Spain, from my hometown is called Sevilla. I got my first computer when I was 8, and I got hooked, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And nice. I want to go to Silicon Valley because that's where the magic happens, or at least that's what I believed when I was a kid, or what the little information I got from, right? Yeah, I studied computer science, and then I got the opportunity to join a small startup in San Francisco, originally as an intern. And when I got there, I was like, okay, yeah, this is where I want to be. That's where I met my co-founder, Jacob.
Well, that's a pretty good entry. Like, how did you get there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as you grow up, you realize it's actually a lot more difficult than what you think. Obviously, you need to
because I want to be in Silicon Valley, but that's not. You made it sound and then one day I showed up.
Yeah, well, it wasn't necessarily like that because when you grow up, you realize that okay, well, at least I need to be able to speak English. That's number one. But also, you need a visa. It's not that easy. But yeah, there was this program that was matching Spanish engineers with Silicon Valley startups. I went through the whole process and they gave me an offer. I was finishing my master's degree in the UK. So frankly, it wasn't the most profitable decision. I had better paid offers in the UK, but I was like, hey, this is what I always wanted to do. So I took the risk a little bit, but it was like, this is what I always wanted to do. Getting a visa is actually very tricky. What the company is doing is something that interests me a lot. The people that I interviewed with look great. And I was like, hey, this is originally going to be for 3 or 6 months. Maybe it turned out to be much longer, and I'm now an US citizen, right? But
nice.
But yeah, I was like, I'm if I don't do this, I'm gonna regret it for the rest of my life. And worst case scenario, it's a great experience, and I learned, and that's kind of how I ended up landing there.
That's great. That's good when you take those risks, especially when you're younger. You can take those risks.
Yeah, I mean,
or jump on those things because you don't want to regret it later on.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this company was essentially doing Duolingo before Duolingo existed. Then Duolingo came up and was like a better funded app and was available for Android and iOS. We were iOS only.
What's Duolingo for those that don't know?
Duolingo is like a language learning app using minigames. So essentially that's what we were doing. And so what happened was that we needed to pivot and we created a new product that we didn't know what was going to happen with the company. Honestly, at that point, I had opportunities to work at bigger tech companies. I was already a full-time employee. I got my final work visa and all of that. So I had more freedom to shop around, I guess. But it was like, hey, this is why I came here. I came here to build something from scratch with very talented people. If it works out, it's going to be great. If it doesn't work out, it's it's a good learning experience too. And I'm not the founder of this company anyway. So yeah, a bunch of people stayed. My co-founder Jacob also stayed, and I loved working with him. We had very mutual respect. We're both engineers. So yeah, we built this new product called Elevate. Actually ended up being very successful. Was App of the Year in 2014. But what we found out was that the initial one-time purchase model wasn't going to work. So we needed to use subscriptions. Back in the day in 2013, there were not that many subscription mobile apps because you needed
Why did you think it wasn't going to work?
Because we were generating new content and new mini games every single month, and that was expensive.
Yeah.
Or if you like have a one-time purchase model, like recurring revenue is the holy grail. It's more predictable, and it also forces you to create a product that is lasting, right? Because if people don't use it, they're gonna churn. So yeah. Anyway, at that point, it wasn't very common. You need explicit permission from Apple and Google, and we got it. And so we were like, okay, the company's safe. This is great. And then we found out that actually implementing that wasn't that easy. It wasn't rocket science to get the first version, even though there were a lot of edge cases. But then as we were growing, we realized like, okay, it's not only the billing. It's like we need to have instrumentation. We need to be able to analyze the data in real time. We need to know what's going on. And also the growth team was like, okay, this is working. We want to do price experiments. We want to give targeted discounts. We want to do Black Friday campaigns and things like that. So it was like all the data engineering around it and all the experimentation around it. So it became a much bigger problem. So we were like, okay, there needs to be a better way to do this, because no engineer wanted to work on that. That's the other thing. Like it wasn't the why people joined this company. They joined to build very beautiful mini games that were with world-class designers, not to build a billing engine that wasn't unique to this app.
Right.
So yeah, we tried to outsource it. We realized nobody else was doing it. And my co-founder Jacob and I realized, we had this crazy realization like, okay, we have been working on this for a long time and we have become experts in this very, very niche problem, which, yeah, we need to build this. It needs to exist. And frankly, when we started this, I wasn't thinking this is going to be huge. This is going to be $1 billion company. I was mostly thinking, even if it's an open source project, I know there's a few people that are going to love this because they need it, because I was one of I would have used this, right? And now I kind of...
you had validation. You need it, or you want it, and you knew people that needed it, so you already...
And also we talked with other developers, and they all said the same thing. So that's how we started. And it was only him and I. We built the initial version very quickly, and then we applied to Y Combinator, which is a really important startup accelerator in Silicon Valley. I didn't think we were going to get in because the chances were very low, but we got in. And at that point is when we realized like, okay, well, this can actually be a business. From that point on is when we had to decide whether we wanted to raise venture capital or not. We ended up raising venture capital because we realized that, hey, nobody thought this was an obvious good idea, and we have a head start. So, and I think we think we're the right team to build this. So probably it makes sense to de-risk it a little bit and try to go a little bit faster. Started hiring. We are right now, we're around 100. We're a very particular company. We are fully remote. We are around 130 people in like 26 or 27 countries. I don't know the exact numbers nowadays, but pretty well distributed all around the globe. As I said, our mission is help developers make more money. We are right now pretty much double digits percentage of every new app that shows up in the App Store. So we are in the smallest indie apps in the App Stores to the biggest one like ChatGPT or Notion. We're processing around $1 billion in subscription payments a month.
These are not small numbers.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty big deal. So wow, and 130 people, and that's so. What were if you don't mind me asking, like what were some of the challenges of building this? Like from, if you talk about the team side of it or the software side of it, like just building this all out, what are some of those lessons?
Everything is a challenge. And I think when you're scaling, I think one thing very important is to realize that the things that got you from A to B are not the ones from 0 to 1 are not the ones that are going to get you to the next stage and think about first principles. I mean, it's good to talk with other people, it's good to read books and all those things, but if you're just like try to copy paste or cargo code what other companies or what other people are working, it's not going to work. Also, it's not going to work because when you're building, one thing that is unique about building a company is that the company becomes eventually your product. And one of the advantages of starting a company is that you should, I mean, to me, the way I'm thinking about it is like, I'll build the company that I would have loved to work at. So you can make unique things. And some things will work. Some things people will think are stupid. But if you at least have a reason and think deeply about why you're doing these things, I think it ends up working. I mean, on the technical side, obviously, the scale was always the biggest. Well, there's two things. I think our customers are developers, which has many positives, but also has disadvantages. They're very vocal.
I'm sure they are.
And very opinionated. So, yeah, if they love you, they're going to love you. But if you screw up, they're going to tell you. Which, honestly, it sucks a little bit, but it's also great because it helps you. You get constant feedback all the time. So you need to take... It's an advantage that you need to learn how to live with. But I think, yeah, the technical side of it, making sure that we were creating something that was usable for, like, the initial product was the API, essentially. Like, making sure that the user experience was the API, making sure that it was usable, easy to use very quickly, and it was as compatible with as many apps as possible in terms of, like, make sure that anybody can implement this very quickly.
So an API is basically how other developers can connect to your solution and use the features.
Yeah. But then quickly became a scaling problem, right? Because we are critical infrastructure. Like right now, I mean, at the beginning, it wasn't that big, but it was probably even worse because people were noticing everything. But right now, we're doing about 3 million API requests per minute. So that means that if 1 minute we have an outage, for 1 minute, it's 3 million people that can potentially complain. So and that just keeps growing, right? So making sure that it always works and that people get what they pay for has always been a challenge. And then on the organizational side, obviously, like, I've never worked at a company this big. So learning how to get there and learning how to deal with time zones and people around the world.
Because you're distributed like across the board. I mean, like,
yes.
What were some of the, like, communication is a big deal. I mean, I have a much smaller team, but they're abroad, and we find ways to communicate. I mean, today modern tools and stuff, it's easier. But did you find any challenges like with that aspect of it?
Of course. And again, this was, I mean, the nice thing is that we started doing this way, not way before, but like a year or so before COVID. So when COVID hit, we didn't have to adapt and we were kind of prepared. So that was nice. I would like to say that we were very smart and we knew this was going to happen and there was the future of work and blah, blah, blah. But the reality was, it wasn't that smart. It was mostly that, hey, we were in San Francisco. It was very difficult to hire. You really need, when you're starting a company, you really need to bring in really solid talent if you want to go far. But at the same time, you cannot compete with the biggest companies. And nowadays it's even crazier with like OpenAI and Anthropic salaries and things like that. So I didn't want to go straight and start hiring people in Europe or from my network because I knew I was like, okay, let's make sure that we settle the culture a little bit before we expand. But there were people that we had worked with in the past that were in other parts. They move out of San Francisco or move out from the US even. And we were like, okay, these are people that we trust. Let's experiment with them. And if it works, then we can scale it. Frankly, at the beginning, it was really hard because the first person that we hired remotely was somebody that was living in Taiwan. He's still working with us, but he was living in Taiwan. So the overlap was very, very small. I would have to stay very late and he would have to wake up very early in order to have like an hour of overlap. And it was very sad because we would work for a little bit together, but then he would work for 7 hours and Slack was completely empty. So figuring that out took a while. But the nice thing though is that as you keep scaling and as you keep adding new time zones, the overlap is so much bigger. So right now, the operation is great because it's pretty much 24/7. Not 24/7, but almost. You are not going to overlap with everybody all the time, but you're never working alone. And that means that being critical infrastructure and having a support team that can answer questions while you're sleeping or that can respond to an incident while you're sleeping is really great. My Sunday is Tony's Monday in Taiwan, right? So that means that he's already going to be working on my Sunday, and the continuity is much better. But obviously, you need to. I don't think everybody wants to work remotely. Everybody wants to have the freedom to work from home, but I don't think everybody's actually ready to do that, because you need to be very self-motivated and you need to be really great at communicating. So those are things that we need to screen for when hiring.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to be kind of self-propelled to do it. And as a person hiring that person or managing that person, you have to be aware of, figure out how to measure that. You don't want to micromanage.
Correct.
You should be able to see what they're producing and that they're there, that they're online when they're supposed to be and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great communication, right? It requires independence, but making sure that, hey, if there's somebody that is going to continue the work that you've been working on today, let's make sure that when you write it down, that person understands it fully and it's not a back and forth, because then it can take 2 days, right? Whereas if you're really great at communicating and then you wake up and that other person has made progress and you're already, you can go faster even, potentially.
Yeah. No, I love the time zone thing and the overlap thing is really an important thing for me for years too. That's a requirement for me. Like, we have to have some time in the morning.
Yeah.
That I have to see what you did. We have to talk. You have to be able to still do a little bit of stuff maybe, or stay late if I need you to. But having somebody, it is a beautiful thing to have somebody overnight kind of watching things and being able to react to things that happen when you're.
Again, it's not necessarily the easier way to build a company. I don't think so. Again, it has advantages. I had disadvantages too. Mm-hmm. I do think, though, looking at the bright side, I do think that we've been able to hire really amazing people that are experts in this domain that it would have been impossible to hire. So it's kind of a false dichotomy. Like, would it be easier? Would it be better if we were all in the same room? Yeah, I think so. But we wouldn't have been able to recruit this team. So, yeah.
Well, the important thing is the quality of the people. I mean, like you're saying, is because if you can trust somebody that they're going to, they know what they're going to do that day and they can self-propel, do their thing and get it done. That's the thing. But there's so many nightmare stories out there. I'm constantly hearing stories of people that have
multiple
nightmare
jobs.
Scenarios of outsourcing somewhere. And, and it doesn't go so well. So the actual, the vetting of that person and testing them and making sure they fit into the culture.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about the culture and how the importance of that and what that means?
Yeah. So that's a great question. When we started, obviously, like the first 1 or 2 people that we hired were people that we already knew. But I remember very early on, one of the first employees asked me, "Hey, how does the culture look like?" And I was like, "Well, you have worked with me in the past. You have worked with Diego in the past. So it's essentially that plus whatever you bring in, essentially. And that's how we're going to build it." But yeah, one thing that we did very early on was writing our core values. And I frankly thought it was bullshit, because it was like, okay, what are the core values? Everybody wants to have really great employees and have a great business and all of that. But I think it's been really powerful because it helps setting up a framework, especially as the organization grows, of the things that we value the most versus others, or how to react in certain scenarios when you don't clearly know the answer or the founders are not around. So yeah, for us, we used to have a lot more, but then we decided, okay, there's too many. Let's have 4 of them, which is customer obsessions, right? Like making sure like we're doing it ultimately for the customers. So yes, no, it's not about the coolest, latest technology, whatever. No, we're solving a problem for real human beings. Let's make sure that that's the goal. Always be shipping, which is like, hey, we're a startup. Our time is limited. If we can ship it today, let's ship it today. We don't have to wait until tomorrow. Let's make every day count because this is how companies die, by like extending, like we need to move as fast as possible, which honestly in this day and age with AI is even a lot more important.
Why do you say that?
Because you can move way faster.
Okay, you can, because it's the tools allow you to.
And if you don't, then somebody else will eventually do it.
Right.
Own it, which is like, maximum ownership. We're all gonna make mistakes, but it's how you react to those mistakes what defines the culture and the company, right? Like I work at other environments in which like somebody deploys something on a Friday, which is good, always be shipping. You're shipping on a Friday, but then they leave and don't say anything to anybody, and then the rest of the team needs to fix something really terrible over the weekend. So, well, that's not great. Like, you can ship it on a Friday, but make sure that you have checked that everything is gonna go okay, that the team knows.
You have the button. So for me, it's always go ahead, but give me a button to push to revert it.
Right.
Something goes anywhere.
Yeah, or like
make it easy for me. Make me understand
exactly
how I can revert it if I need to.
Totally. But again, it's a good value. You can come from other environments in which like things are different or it's not critical infrastructure. Some people were coming from other type of companies in which like, people don't only use it from Monday to Friday. Nobody uses the product on a weekend, so it's fine. I can have it broken. And I said, not here. And then the last one, which has always been the most controversial one, was balance. And frankly, we added that one because me and my co-founder were working really hard at the beginning. We were working Saturdays and Sundays and all of that, and we were like, hey, this is gonna be a very long run. So we need to make sure that we can do it for the long term. So let's make sure we don't burn out. And in the reality, how it translates to the team is like, hey, there's might be days that are very hard, or there might be an incident, and that day we might have to stay a little bit longer. But that means that maybe the day after you get to sleep in, or things like that. It doesn't mean, it was misinterpreted at the beginning of like, that means that I can like go surfing every day and not work. Well, that's not exactly what it means. It means that it should go both ways, right?
Yeah, that's actually important. I had a buddy tell me years ago, and it kind of stuck with me. He's like, if I have to work a Saturday or something happens, there's a fire I got to deal with, on Tuesday, I might actually take some extra time off or half a day to go do something. It's not going to be perfect balance. You're not going to have maybe the perfect cadence with your weekly routines and stuff, but once in a while. But as long as you're flexible and you make sure you listen to your body, that's my thing. I just listen to my body. Am I feeling a little burned? Maybe I need to take a little tap or take a nap. One of the things.
Yeah, and that's the reality. We've also learned that. It's a very personal one because some people will like be closer to one extreme or the other, and that's probably fine. But like, just be mindful that if we want to do this.
The quality of the people. People that want to work. They want to work. Like my best people are just they are apologizing when they can't do something, right? Or they can't. They have to take time off or something. It's like okay.
But again,
okay.
they need to also realize that there's times in which like you need to rest and recharge.
Right. So that's awesome. Those are great. Those are great. Yeah, that's a good solid. I'm curious to like one you cut that might have made the cut. Is there a 5?
I don't remember. No, there were like 8 or 9, but they were like, we decided that these were the ones that encapsulated the whole thing. I think it was like mostly adding more detail about this, on particular scenarios. But this has been pretty good, and we screen for this during when we do the interviews. We try to highlight like this an important part of performance management, and we try to highlight. I send an email to the whole team every week, essentially what I did that week, what I'm planning to do the next week, and what's on my mind, potential problems even. But I always try to highlight some behaviors from people that have done something great, especially super important also even if it's outside of engineering, so that people get exposure to it. But the idea is that it's a way for people to see like, okay, this is an example of where one of the values was applied properly. Yeah, I mean, I do it for two reasons. One is because it helps me to think about, because sometimes you're in the fire after fire after fire, and you're like, oh, I didn't do anything, I feel bad, and then you look back and it's like, oh, actually we moved the ball a little bit this week too.
Right.
But also mostly for transparency, there's a lot of people now that don't get to work with me that closely or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, at least I'm sharing it with everybody, and they can get some information about what I've been up to.
Yeah. So how does so the last bit here is your role. Like, how has your role transformed from the beginning of the business to now? Like, you're coming from the engineering world,
yeah,
and now you're running a business. How'd that feel?
It changes. I mean, I was gonna say every year. It changes pretty much every day. Not every day, but yeah, it's an interesting feeling, because once you get good at doing something, that's kind of when you need to delegate that and find another problem, essentially. So it's not a job for everybody, I can tell you that. But yeah, right. At the beginning, I started writing blog posts every year just to reflect on how my role was evolving, also to compare with other people that were ahead of me, but also try to help people when they ask me how should my role look like. And the reality is that every company is different. You need to play with the cards that you've been dealt with, essentially. And some CTOs just only write code, others only do management, others are doing sales or hiring, and others is a combination of everything, right? To me, I started being a coder, essentially, like the main individual contributor. Then obviously we need to hire some people, and there was some management, but it was very light. So the way I thought about the problem was like, hey, at the end of the day, it's not about what makes me the happiest, because what makes me the happiest is probably coding, but it's solving problems. But what makes me the happiest at the end of the day, as one of the biggest shareholders of this company, is that the company does well. So I'll do whatever it takes to make the company go well, or the type of work that needs to be done at any given time, even if it's not what I love doing the most. And with that mindset, I was like, okay, so I'll try to hire the best engineers that I can, ideally better than me, the best managers that I can, ideally better than me. And what I ended up realizing is that even though I didn't like management, hiring managers was a lot more difficult. So I ended up having to do, I guess also because I didn't know how to hire managers, and it took me a while to learn how to do that. That was part of it, for sure. So yeah, I had to do a lot of management. I thought I was really bad at it. People told me, which is another realization that I didn't know, people told me that, hey, you think you're bad, and there's probably better managers out there, but you really care about this company. So that's why people are going to respect you, because they know you have good intentions, that you're not trying to take advantage of anybody else's work just to get a promotion, right?
Right.
So yeah, with that mindset, it has been evolved, and right now it's a mix of everything. I would say my role is closer to what a co-founder would do than an architect or technology person. I try to find what's the biggest fire, and if there's one team that is struggling the most or is going slower, then I try to debug it a little bit and get closer. But yeah, even support reports to engineering now. It's a good example. I was never interested in doing support. In fact, to me, that was like one of the hardest jobs, because you are usually dealing with people that are frustrated. Yeah. But I took it as an engineering problem and be like, okay, how can we do better? Maybe we need to improve the documentation. Maybe we need to improve internal tools so that support people can reply faster. Maybe we need to improve the product and analyze all the tickets, how they're coming. And we were able to improve support by a lot, and the SLAs and everything, without hiring anybody. So it wasn't necessarily oh, it's the volume, which it was, right? We were getting a lot more volume, but it's okay, how can we respond faster and try to, how can we scale the headcount sublinearly compared to the growth of the company, essentially?
I think kind of your superpowers. Well, you got to find your superpower. Like you're engineer, loves solving problems, and I think it's actually good that you float throughout your organization and do different things, because you're coming through there with that mindset to solve a problem. Because you didn't just go into support and this is the way it is, I'll deal with it, I hate it. But you're like, well, maybe we could do this better. Maybe we could engineer this better. And there you go. You know?
Yeah, that's the mindset. And I mean, and you have to apply to everything. Like if it sales is the things that is going down, going slowly, that's something recruiting to. At some point we were like, okay, we need to recruit faster and better people. Okay, let's review the process. Let's review how we're doing. How are we doing with referrals? How are we doing with inbound, outbound? Is the job description not good? Are people calibrated? That's another thing that we've been working on. Like there's a lot more people, but we realized that there were a few interviewers that were the ones that were doing the most, which turns out those are the most tenured people at the company too, which means that if they're spending a lot of time doing interviews, they are not able to do their jobs. So, okay, how do we make sure that there's a process so that they can share that, spread the knowledge, and making sure that new people are trained constantly, and we can keep building things at the same time as we are hiring. Because at this time, like at the beginning, the first year, we would hire 2, 3, 4 people a year, so it doesn't matter. But now if we're interviewing people every day, right? Pretty much.
Constantly,
So we need to make it compatible with the ongoing business operations.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think you look at successful companies like yours, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't just because there was a smart person that just implemented everything perfect day one. It's an iterative process. You're always constantly analyzing and fixing and improving and.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the mindsets that I try to share with everybody is that if you try to come up, well, first of all, the perfect process doesn't exist. It will never exist because even if you build it, then 3 months from now it's going to be deprecated. It's going to be old because the company has changed. So if you're like, don't try to think about the perfect process. Just come up with a minimum viable process change or whatever, an MVP, that you can ship today and can learn from it and have a revert plan, right? Like the same way you're shipping code. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world, but you at least have tried and you can go back and start something else. And if it works, you can double down and think about what's the next bottleneck and how to improve it, and continually and be brutally honest about the things that are working and the things that are not. And if you think it that way and use first principles, that's culturally the way to for every part of the organization to grow. And I do think that
I was going to say, for somebody that doesn't know the term first principles, what do you mean by that?
It's the way I think about it is ignoring everything else that people are saying that is what works and what is the right way of doing things and all of that. It's like thinking about like, okay, what do we know for sure that works for this company?
Right.
And that we can iterate upon versus like copying. A great example would be like, the Spotify model, right? Like, this is how they build teams. This is how those are the team topologies. Let's everybody do that. And then you learn later, actually it never even worked for Spotify. It was like, it's kind of like a marketing thing or an idea that they had, and then they realized it didn't work, right? So that is, to me, it's the opposite of culting and trying to copy whatever. I think it's great to get inspiration for those, absolutely, because maybe you don't have the happy idea, but it's just analyze what are the positives and what are the advantages or disadvantages of that approach, and maybe you can grab a little piece and you don't need to implement the whole thing and then adapt it to you. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is being critical about being skeptical. Like when you see something, obviously there's things that are clear and good practices and all of that, but I think most approaches have advantages and disadvantages. Bigger teams have advantages and disadvantages. Smaller teams, again, same thing. You might go faster, but maybe you're lacking some skills, and maybe there's a lot more duplicated work if you have a smaller team. So those are the things that you need to be balancing constantly and deciding, okay, this moment in time, what is the best thing for my company, or what is the problem that we're trying to solve? That's the thing. It's like sometimes people don't even stop to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, I mean, every company's different, every team's different, every scenario is different, and so that's why you can come up with ideas, but you have to test and iterate to take pieces, piecemeal it. But we were going to get into. I wanted to talk about your product and stuff, the actual. What you do, what your product does, and talk about that model, subscriptions, and apps, and all that good stuff, the techie stuff.
I can describe it very quickly. So what we do is if you're an app developer, which now it's actually trendy again because we've seen an explosion with AI, because it turns out that it's actually way easier. Way easier to build an app, and it turns out that it's also a really good format for AI-powered apps. So now with AI, it's two things: is that you can use AI to build apps, but also you can create apps that are using AI to solve a particular problem. So there's been an explosion. So the monetization of these apps is not an easy thing, because you're shipping the apps to the App Store or the Play Store, Google and Apple systems, and they want to take a cut of the revenue, so they have their own system for payments.
Right. Yeah.
So you need to build on top of that. So what we do is that we abstract all of that, and we provide a simple SDK or API so that you can very easily, and even the LLMs will help you integrate really quickly. So you can do it right now, literally in minutes, instead of like weeks that could take you before. And now you can accept payments and make money and build a business around it. And then we also provide a dashboard that you can go, you see your analytics, how your business is doing. We integrate with many third parties, analytics, attribution, all those type of things in app messaging, push notifications, and yeah, we let you do experiments. Like, for example, maybe Android users in this particular country convert better, but are a lot more price sensitive, right? So you can say, okay, well, for this particular subset of users, I'm gonna be showing them a different price or a different offer or discount or whatever. And yeah, the idea is that we help you maximize the revenue and find what's the best monetization model for you. We actually just released it today. We have so much data. We are in about 80,000 apps that we kind of know what are the trends and what are the things that work and what are the things that don't work. And again, every business is different, every app is different, so it really depends on the category. But yeah, we can help you out, providing you information about, like, okay, for this particular category of apps,
Oh, okay. So
you're doing really great, or you're doing bad, or you have too much churn or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So you give them insights that they wouldn't normally get. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like you were talking about earlier, like you didn't have the analytics, you didn't have, you had no way to split test or do experiments, whatever you want to call it, and all the rest, or even take subscriptions. But you're solving all those problems for them and providing the interfaces and dashboards or whatever they need and the insights, because that's important for especially small apps to know how people are using your product and getting feedback. But feedback sometimes is not just somebody leaving a comment. Sometimes it's just how are they using your thing?
How are they using? And I think one thing that we did, at the beginning, was that we really wanted to align our business model with our customers' business model. So essentially, we don't make money until you make money. So we take a percentage of your revenue, but so people are very excited when they get their first invoice from us, because it means that their app is actually monetizing well.
Okay, so you have a threshold before you even start.
Yeah, correct. And then
That's awesome.
and then after that, we take a small percentage. So essentially, the more you pay us, that means the more money your business is doing. So yeah, people sometimes they share in social media their RevenueCat invoices and stuff, and just to show that, hey, my business is growing, which has been cool.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic model, because, man, I mean, if you have confidence in what you're providing, you should be doing well for people and helping them make money. And and that's your reward, helping them make money. That incentivizes you to do better, to create a better product for them, and to make more money. And and to make more money.
And we try to make it look like, okay, it pays for itself, right? It's worth it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we always thought, at the beginning, we thought about other business models and stuff, but this was the one that was like more customer aligned. Obviously, like there's a lot of apps that are never go past the threshold or not gonna make any relevant money, and they will use the product for free. But it's still good for us too. Like we need to be able. We learn from all these type of customers. That's a nice thing too. Like we learn from the indie developer that it's maybe making a few $100 or sometimes some months they don't make anything, to the biggest apps in the App Store that are making millions of dollars every month, and they have different use cases. There's some things that are different, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to grow a business. So there's things that both of them can benefit from each other. And yeah, it's great for us to learn from those different use cases.
Why should somebody consider the subscription model too? Because I have had various businesses over the years, and I've had memberships and with monthly and with that laid a nice solid foundation to pay the bills and not have to worry as much on a month-to-month basis. But nowadays, especially, I imagine like AI. I mean, you can't just use AI. There's tokens. There's things you have to actually. There's costs to using AI. So I imagine that offsets that a lot too for people. They need that. Yeah.
Well, I don't think this is a business model for everybody, but I think it's a, as I said before, I think it's a good business model if you have like recurring expenses or you're like trying to provide, like if you are a calculator app that doesn't require any server or any bandwidth or any storage or anything else, maybe it's not the best business model. It should be like a one-time purchase or free, right? Or have ads or whatever. Right. But if it's something that is providing recurring value, then it makes more sense. I mean, I think obviously for the AI powered ones is useful because you have an external cost of tokens and everything else. Yeah. However, I do think that now we're starting to see a lot more of hybrid models too, because the problem with that is that unless you really measure it properly, if you just have a simple subscription, you might be very cheap for the power user, but very expensive for the person that is not using it all the time. So maybe sometimes you can have like a basic subscription that lets you do however tokens or how many queries, and then you can like purchase extra tokens or whatever, and it's like a one-time purchase associated to your subscription. So yeah, we're starting to see a lot more hybrid models coming up.
What is it called, like a freemium model or something, where you give somebody access to something, but then you have like a pro, like for those people, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's several variations of the same problem. I mean, most people that do subscriptions, the way they use it is like they usually have a free trial for a few days or a week or a month or whatever, and then it converts to an weekly, yearly, or a monthly subscription. And it's also a great opportunity. I mean, in the past, people didn't know how to cancel these subscriptions, so a lot of people would get the initial renewal just because people forget to unsubscribe. Nowadays, the users are a lot more educated.
Well, I don't know. I went to get my Verizon. I'm going to Verizon to get my phone, right? And they were helping me set it up last time. And she had to go in there, and for whatever reason, she was looking at all my subscriptions, and she's like, never seen so many subscriptions. I'm like, I have a lot. My wife's sitting right there like, you do have a lot. What are you doing? I'm like, well, these are probably all trials that I signed up for and never canceled. But yeah, they're out there.
Well, now at least if you that's something that the operating system did better now. If you delete an app and you have an active subscription, at least it tells you, it's like, hey, you're paying for this. Oh, yeah. If you want to delete it, do you want to cancel the subscription too? And at the beginning, it like, I don't know. This is one of those things that some developers got frustrated because their churn is starting to see like a lot of cancelled subscriptions. But I think eventually this is one of those things that are good for the ecosystem, right? Because it shows like, hey, you should be making money only from the people that are actually using your app.
That's important. Yeah. I remember I remember I phased out a product years ago. This is like 15 years ago. I had a membership. And I phased it out, and I had a list. So I was telling everybody that I was phasing this thing out and this would be the last day. We're going to close our doors. And I assumed that everyone was like, oh, okay, I better cancel my subscription. And no, I was like, there wasn't even a product, and they just kept paying. So I had to actually literally go in eventually and just cancel all the subscriptions manually. It's interesting. People just aren't aware. Things come out. They don't worry about it. This is cool. So any other really cool features you want to just mention about your product that that people are really finding beneficial? That's helping people make more money. So
yeah, I mean, all everything that is related to experiments and yeah, paywall testing too is important because you get to it's crazy to see like the same product with a different paywall and different information or different pricing can lead to a lot better or worse conversion on where you place it in your app or the onboarding journey even. But yeah, other things that we are shipping right now, there's one thing that we're very excited about, which is it's kind of a crazy problem related to this, is that the stores pay developers about two months later. So there's a cash flow problem, right? Like you're making money, but you are not going to see the money until 2 months later, which for some people is fine, but for other people it's like, okay, well, I want to reinvest it now in user acquisition or paying employees or whatever. Right. So we are doing daily payouts now. So essentially we take a little commission, but we know exactly how much you're going to make, and it's kind of guaranteed by Apple or Google. So we can afford you giving you a little bit of money, well, like a percentage of what you would make every day, so that you can deploy it right away. And that's something that has been, I didn't know people were going to be so excited about this, frankly. I was like, oh, there's probably some people that are going to like this, but people have been using it a lot and liking it, and we're starting slow because we're doing it very manual at the beginning with bigger apps that we know, but we're expanding it, and this year is going to be a big part of the product.
Yeah, I feel like we could have a whole episode on just experimenting, like experiments and the power behind that, both as a business and well, as a business. But this is good. Like we could just keep talking forever, but we're not. We're gonna unless you got a couple more hours, we could how's your afternoon look?
I need to. It's today. I don't have meetings. I'm trying to finish up all the things that I should have done this week. Right. But it was great. It's
good
great
stuff.
Being here.
I appreciate you sharing everything you shared. It was really, really interesting. It actually, one of the things I love about podcasting, and the way I do it anyway, is we end up on topics we never planned on ending up on, and that was good.
Awesome.
And but if somebody wants to learn more about what you do, they go to where on the World Wide Web, and where do you hang out if somebody wants to reach out or talk to you?
RevenueCat.com. We are pretty active. Me and my co-founder are pretty active on Twitter because that's where a lot of app developers are. So yeah, that's where you can find us pretty much.
Very good. Awesome. Well, thanks, Miguel. Until next time.
All right. Thank you. Have a great one.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.